Welcome everyone who is watching this, wherever you are, wherever you may be listening. This is going to be a great video module, and we've been talking about producing, in particular, uh, line producing, budgeting, money. And I have with me Vic, who is the creative director, producer extraordinaire, owner of Dead Horse Productions. You can give a little more insight as to what you do exactly,
Sure.
company. But welcome, Vic.
Sure. Hey, thanks, Andre. Yeah, so I am kind of the co-owner. I have a business partner. She's what we call the administrative director. I'm the creative director here for Dead Horse Productions in Anderson, South Carolina. We are a start to finish full service film and video production company. What that really means in terms of boots on the ground is it means if you can do it in front of a camera, we can probably make it happen. And we do, we do everything from but memorial videos, dance recitals, weddings, all the way through feature films. Of course, on the independent side, we're not a giant studio, but we've worked on a couple of pretty good feature films. A lot of times we'll provide, as a producer, I'll provide crew for other people's projects. I'll coordinate all of that. So it's really just a big mix match of every single thing in the industry, to be honest with you. We don't actually specialize in any one thing. We just make it all happen.
So that's interesting you said that. And for those who are the students who are listening to this, you talk about doing different things from recitals to weddings to feature films to documentaries to all these different things. All of those things require some sort of budgeting and some sort of planning. Can you talk to us and talk to the students about your process as if I was a 7-year-old?
Sure.
How
Oh,
do you
wow.
the budgeting process and take it to completion?
Yeah. So, bottom line is it's all about efficient management of logistics. When you coordinate, when you negotiate with a client, you've got an idea of what their budget is. So if you're shooting a wedding and let's say they choose a certain package and that package is a $3,000 package, you have to know within that $3,000 how many crew you can afford, how many cameras you can efficiently operate, and all the other little bells and whistles that go into a package like that. Does the bride want interviews, for instance, with family members at the end of the wedding video that talk about the well wishes to them and the groom, and sometimes that's just a little add-on, and she doesn't see that until after she watches the video. But you've got to budget and you've got to make sure you've got your time in there, because if I bring in a camera operator, not even a cinematographer, let's just say he's a base camera operator, and he's going to get $25 an hour to be at this wedding, plus food, plus a gas stipend. I've got to know how to package that in. and it works the same just about with every single project. You've got a budget, you can't go over that budget. And if you spend all your money on that camera operator, then there's no money to pay the company's bills. So all you've done is shot a really good video and it's free. So there's a lot of economics that go into that. And part of that is I'm not a math guy. I'm good with logistics, but it always helps to have that other person. That's, Linda, you've talked to Linda, I think, but she's my administrative director. She's the one that, I laid the spreadsheet out for her. I show her who I've got coming. We put the numbers in, and we see at the end of the day, after we've produced this video, and we figure in the time. Just because we've shot it doesn't mean we're done. We still have the time it takes to edit the project. It still has if we've got anything we've got to fix, we've got to, somebody goes in there, it's overexposed, you got to bring it into a special program and try to recover that. You've got to kind of factor in a certain percentage for your post-production. And post-production, no matter what the project is, post-production almost always gets forgotten about. And now all of a sudden you have a producer and a director standing there, and the guy that you paid to edit it you don't have the money to pay him to edit the rest of your project. So you've got to keep that in the back of the head, or you have got to find that other person that thinks about those little details. And so that's just the base bottom line. It's a masterful administration of time and logistics and definitely money. Because at the end of the day, if that spreadsheet, you've charged that bride $3,000 for her wedding package, if at the end of the day you factored in and it's $3,001, you're in the hole. And it only gets worse from there because now you're scrambling and you've got an emergency and you've got to actually pay more money to get something done. You got to know your stuff logistically from the very beginning of that project, and you got to just track it the whole way through the project. Don't lose sight of it, or you'll find yourself hurting.
So let me ask you this: you talk about budgeting and spreadsheets. I know a typical platform or software that's used is Movie Magic Budgeting.
Yes.
Binder has its own budgeting system. What do you
Yes.
find to be your preferred platform for budgeting a project?
So budgeting a project, it's Movie Magic budgeting all the way for me. And yes, that is an investment, but it pays off practically on the first or second, or at least by the end of the second project, it's paid for itself. Movie Magic is a subscription service. Everything is kept in the cloud. So, when you lose your computer goes down, you don't lose your budget. But it doesn't take up a whole lot of space on your computer. So there you are, you can be in the field making adjustments to your budget. And you've got your top of the line talent all listed up. You keep those numbers solid, and then you can start filling in your variables. Entertainment Partners is the ones that manage Movie Magic budgeting and scheduling. And that's in scheduling is a separate project, a separate program. We'll talk about that in a second. But they also give you access, for about $35, you can get access to the payroll book. And the payroll book, yes, it's 1,000-page document, but they've thought of everything. Okay. If your cinematographer takes a break and he has to run over to McDonald's and get some French fries and come back, you can program that into your budget. It is phenomenal. All your fringes, everything, your daily rates, and then and then that beautiful magic word, 10% for adjustments. So it's absolutely beautiful. And then Entertainment Partners also has Movie Magic scheduling, and I love it. I mean, if you're familiar with breaking down a script, you break your script down and then you just go back and you just sit there and you enter it. Yeah, you've got to have a dedicated person to sit there and enter all this information, but at the end of the day, you know exactly where that shoe prop goes. You know exactly what scene that's going to be in. You know what day it's going to be. You know how many days you need to have that shoe prop on set, and you can just run your reports. Location report, cast report, prop report, vehicle report, animal report, and you can hand these reports out to your various departments, and of course you give them a copy of the script. Yes, it's up to the department to also kind of verify all of this, but you've given them such a great head start by giving them reports. So these are the two projects that, as a professional, if you're thinking about really making a big leap in commitment in this business, make the investment and get these programs. Now, you mentioned Studio Binder. We also use Studio Binder. I use it primarily because it's an amazing program for issuing call sheets. Just plug in your call sheet and all that. But if you've got some other, maybe you've got a really small budget and it's not worth breaking out Movie Magic to do it. Studio Binder is right there. You've just done your call sheet. You can just hop over one tab and start doing a little bit of a scene breakdown or entire script breakdown. Absolutely great for students, obviously. but also great for smaller projects. And I would imagine if you're very masterful at it, you could make it work for even, you know, big projects. And I know they encourage you to do that. You know how the industry is. You got all these, everybody's got a little magic thing that they use, and their product is always the best. But in the end of the day, it's got to be what works for you and your style, and your situation. But yeah, those are the big tools that we like to use. I'm very big proponent of them.
And so with Movie Magic budgeting, what would you say typically costs the most money in a short or a feature film? What is the biggest chunk of the budget?
In a short, it's typically your crew. And it's, you know, cinematographer's got to, you know, we're 2 hours from Atlanta. If I've got a big end short that I want to use, I'm going to pull a cinematographer in from Atlanta, and I'm going to pay him either a union rate or something really close to a union rate. Okay. Well, if you're doing a short that's going to run you 3 days, now all of a sudden you're into the $5,000 range, $6,000 range for that one individual. Okay. And of course, the other thing about doing a short, excuse me, is that your cast typically are not going to be your A-list celebrities unless you've just really done. So you're not going to be paying them a whole lot. Conversely, if you're doing a feature, your cast becomes one of your big budget line items. That and travel. Travel is going to, if you're really, I mean, if you're really into this, if you've got a feature film and you're really willing to bring the talent in, case in point, we did a feature film called Direct Son, and we auditioned something like 750 people for that film, and we ended up only using, of the 42 people we cast, we only ended up using 5 from South Carolina, right here. I either drove in or flew in the rest of the cast, and that was, you know, a $60,000 budget, not a big budget for a feature film, but out of 60,000, half of it was travel.
Wow.
Half of it was travel. And because it was only a 12-day shoot, so we used below the line crew people. So we were able to negotiate. It was, you know, it's like, hey, yeah, I got some time. It was a slow period. We negotiated for a lot of that. And because it was also a Christian-based film, a redemptive film, a lot of them were willing to just work for the message. So it was great. We managed to negotiate a lot of that, and we got a lot of good stuff out of it. But yeah, feature film is going to be your cast and travel, and those, you know, and of course, you know, if you're paying an actor $100,000, that's going to obviously be your big number. But on a short, yeah, it's going to be your crew.
So I think in a couple days, maybe 2-3 days, I know that you're turning in a breakdown and budget for a Very Black Christmas that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you and I are working on. So what is the first thing someone who gets a feature in their hands and they go, hey, I got to do this, I got to do a budget. Do they open Movie Magic and import the script and it starts to break it down for them? Or like basically, can anybody pick up a script or a project they're working on, open up Movie Magic and start intuitively breaking this down? Or is this going to require some sort of like education, learning curve? Is the learning curve steep on breaking down a feature?
It's not as steep on the actual inputting in Movie Magic. And you know, and to be honest, I wouldn't say it's hard. There are a couple of industry things you have to kind of stick to. Just case, you know, just as an example, you open up and you're looking at your script, and what is the process is you go through and you color code inside the script everything. Okay. A cast member that has a line that gets underlined in red. A car that gets underlined in pink. Okay. And then you got to kind of come up with how you take notes inside the script. So that becomes your style. That becomes your little intuitive thing. But then if you've got that and you've annotated it well inside the script, putting it into Movie Magic Scheduler is a breeze. It's just, they've got all the drop down menus, and you can create categories if there's something unique that is not in there. But I don't think I've ever, in all the films I've had to break down, I think I've only maybe had to create one category. So cast, pop the name in there, and then as you move from scene to scene, those categories stay populated. So at that point, it's just a matter of click, click, click. All right. And so by the time you get to the end of the third act, 90% of your stuff's already in the system. So it's just a matter of clicking it and going, okay, these are I need these 5 cast members. Click, 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 click. I need these props. Click, click. The decoration, this, set before, like a Very Black Christmas, set decoration, Christmas decorations, click, and just click, click, click. So it actually gets, the longer, the farther into the entering that you go, the faster the process goes. And it's just, yeah.
Think about that. So Vic and I went to graduate school together and got our MFAs in screenwriting. So for one of my courses, to clear the MFA, I switched one of my courses out and took line producing, like budgeting.
Yeah.
And I had to learn Movie Magic. And I'll tell you, for those of you who are listening, you're like, oh, professor, I don't know if I'm not good at math and like all these numbers. I was able to do it. I color coded the scripts. I uploaded stuff to Movie Magic. I got things categorized. I created a budget. And I've used Studio Binder and it does more of it for you. But Movie Magic is great because you actually have to understand the process and understand the elements. And I think it really behooves you as a filmmaker to know each of these particular jobs. And in this particular course, they're learning all the different art pieces of.
Okay.
So great. I definitely think Studio Binder is good for students, as you said. But if you're taking that next step, Movie Magic is going to be great. And we are not getting paid to endorse Movie Magic. It's just the tool that you use to make it.
Yeah. And that's just exactly like you said. It forces you to analyze that script. You get immersive in it, and you may have written the darn thing, and yet when you start entering this stuff, you go, oh yeah, wow. And that may cause you to change a little something too, especially if you're the writer. But it really, it makes you get immersive. And if you're a line producer, you have got to know every piece of what's going on. Okay. Every piece. And that's what your producer's counting on. That's what the director's counting on. That's what the cinematographer's counting on, that there is somebody who is the touch point who can solve the problems, because I'll be honest, 90% of what I do seems to be solving problems. If you could just go in there and turn on a camera and hit record, then everybody would be doing this. But it's not like that. Yeah. You got to know it. You've got cinematographers who, if I'm going to shoot this for you, I need this lens. And now you as a line producer, maybe it's not your job, but let me tell you what, it's your job. You've got to go find this cinematographer, this fancy anamorphic lens that he just absolutely wants to capture this scene that will be 15 seconds of the film. Okay. And you know what I'm talking about. They spend a lot of time and money getting a 5-second shot.
Wow. Well, listen, Vic, this is great. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. And
absolutely.
We really appreciate it. And the students will appreciate it, and the other watchers and listeners will appreciate this. And I think it's a testament to the fact that film production is not just, I'm an actor in front of the camera, I'm a director or a writer. There's a lot of people who go into this that are necessary, crucial, and the producer and the line producers are definitely one of them. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Anytime, man. Andre, y'all safe and just have a great time down there. I know your weather's awesome.